America's downward elevator ride. America's downward elevator ride, Biden promises hope, is that enough? Joe Biden comforted a grieving community in Monterey Park, it's what he does best. So why don't I feel better? He sat on his porch smoking a joint with a friend, and laughed as I walked by. I was headed for the nearby boys' club to hear Joe Biden speak. I didn't have time to ask him what he found so amusing, but I vowed to myself to do so later. Biden put in an appearance in Monterey Park, a city of about 60,000 people just east of Los Angeles, less than 2 months after a horrific mass shooting there. He told the crowd of more than 250 that he was there, on behalf of the American people, to mourn with you. Local politicians, longing to be seen next to the president, made a point of pressing the flesh among the crowd. Monterey Park Mayor Jesse Sanchez told reporters he was incredibly optimistic that something could be done about the epidemic of gun violence in the country. Activists among the crowd were a little less sanguine. At least he's talking about the issue, said Charles L. Bleck from the Brady Center to Prevent Gun Violence. It seems like it's always baby steps, but Biden does care. After 4 years of Donald Trump offering little more than hopes and prayers, as deaths mounted across the country in a seemingly daily display of random mass shootings, Biden came here to announce an executive order, which in effect just urges Congress to action. Still, it was welcome news. At least someone in our government appears to care, another young woman explained. Man, talk about low expectations. The overall sense of dread that nothing will ever be done about gun violence in America hung like a pallor over the assembly of survivors and local residents, in keeping with an uncharacteristic gray day. Rains and flooding continued in Southern California. Biden's speech was laced with hopeful language, but also reflected the tone of those who wonder, does anything work anymore? More than ever, this country seems worn out. Donald Trump is still out there preaching fear and hate. Ron DeSantis is doubling down on it. Other Republicans still can't admit reality, and the Democrats can't get a handle on how to deal with it. On the same day Biden spoke about the loss of lives in a high-profile mass shooting, the EPA proposed its first-ever action against the forever chemicals that are turning our drinking water into cancer cocktails. I don't even know what to say to that, one of the young men at the boys' club said. It seems like it's all bad news. According to Representative Judy Chu, the Democrat who represents this district, the Lunar New Year spate of gun violence that claimed 10 local residents, and several more in Half Moon Bay, a few hundred miles north, was an attack on Asian Americans. It feels like our society has unraveled, one young activist told me. Who am I to argue with that? We are a diverse species that disrespects its diversity. We are intolerant to the very diversity of thought that enables us to understand our environment. We are fearful of everything and most everyone around us. Since the beginning of the year I've heard dozens of people speak similar thoughts. Feels like we're trending down. There is a fear of civil war and bank collapse. We no longer even look at our entertainment institutions that traditionally give us respite from the storm with the respect we once gave them. Jim Carrey said, "We're no longer the cool kids," when speaking about the Oscars. He could have been talking about pop music, the NFL, the NBA, or Major League Baseball. Movies these days suck, to put it bluntly. No one reads books. A mother at the boys' club Tuesday told me, "My kids are out of control." It is as if we are frozen in fear, and nothing makes that feeling more tangible than the realization that we are not safe in public. Instead of trying to solve that problem, everyone is torturing themselves over the definition and application of terms like racist, misogynist, woke, and gender. Millions apparently think that if you show 30 seconds of isolated video, then, hey, there was no violence on January 6, 2021. There are those who describe Tucker Carlson's propaganda as showing a mostly peaceful protest and claim the video was unedited. Aha! All video is edited, and Carlson's Chop Shop turned out a video that was the equivalent of claiming that the Titanic's maiden voyage went great. Here's a reminder that no one is being prosecuted for just milling around, or simply walking to the Capitol. It wasn't as if those involved in the insurrection advanced from the White House to the Capitol like the cartoon Tasmanian devil, growling, spitting and spinning. They're being prosecuted over those moments of violence or vandalism that led to loss of life, injury, and property damage. But you can't talk to people and explain anything anymore without it resonating in the deepest chambers of some very hollow hearts, and being twisted into a narrative in direct opposition to reality. Representative Steve Scalise of Louisiana, now the majority leader in the House of Representatives, got shot in a mass shooting and still supports cheap and plentiful handguns. If you're a survivor of a random mass shooting and still can't endorse responsible gun policy, there's little hope you'll face the facts about an insurrection. America's downward elevator ride. America's downward elevator ride, Biden promises hope, is that enough? Joe Biden comforted a grieving community in Monterey Park, it's what he does best. So why don't I feel better? He sat on his porch smoking a joint with a friend, and laughed as I walked by. I was headed for the nearby boys' club to hear Joe Biden speak. I didn't have time to ask